This is the first class for most of you, but I could see some of you are my old students. Right. I think Shantanu, Shraddha, you have already attended this class and you want to, and Swati also, and Mia also, right? So this is the first class. Okay. Before we start with lesson one, we are going to have an orientation, how things are going to take place, right? Start with my quick introduction. I have done masters in mathematics and masters in education. I have been teaching for almost 20 years now. I have taught in 6 institutes, including the Princeton Review. I joined Manya, the Princeton Review, in 2011. So it's almost 9 years that I have been with Manya, the Princeton Review, right? I started as a teacher here. Okay, before joining Manya, the Princeton Review, I was working as the head of the math department for an online tutoring company named eMath 360. Post that, I joined Manya, and I became master trainer in 2013. So I'm a certified master trainer, and currently I'm working as product development specialist for the GMAT, right? Right. So now we will start with the today's lesson. Let's say, first of all, we are going to learn process of elimination, which is again an art. In the beginning, there will be more questions which you will not know how to do rather than knowing how to do them, right? Okay. So you should be able to eliminate some of the obvious wrong answer choices, right? Some of the very obvious one. For example, let's say you are sitting at the test center and up pops this question. The original price of an article was reduced by 25%. During a special sale, the new price was decreased by 10%. By approximately what percent would the price now have to be increased in order to restore the price of the article to its original amount, right? So you got these numbers in the answer choices. Let's say you are sitting in the test center and you have this question and you don't have time to solve the question, or maybe you don't even have the time to read the question, right? But since it is a math question, you will be able to see these numbers in the question. So let's start with Shweta. So Shweta, please tell me how to lower. Shweta, you can lower the hand. Okay, great. So Shweta, please tell me if you see 25 and 10 and you haven't even read the question and then you see the answer choices, which number will strike your attention? Yes, Shweta. Very good. 30, right? 20 plus 10, 30, right? But do you think, okay, no, but 25 plus 10 is 35. Okay, so 35 is something which grasps the attention of most of the students. So 35, it cannot be that easy because this is too obvious, 25% plus 10%. So if you are getting a very obvious answer, something within 5 seconds, okay, after reading the question or just by looking at the question, that is definitely not the answer to the GMAT question. Okay, GMAT is not going to give you any question for which you will get the answer within 5 seconds, right? So please take care of it. Abhishek, is there any other number which you think, okay, somebody who knows that percentage is out of 100, right? What that person is going to pick if you is in a hurry to pick up the answer, not worried much about the question. No, no, Abhishek. Okay, I think you are telling me the answer. Am I right, Abhishek? Yes, and that is not the objective of this exercise, first of all. Secondly, your answer is wrong. Okay, I am sure you have not done any calculation on your scratch paper, right? So that is also wrong. Anyhow, if somebody who is like who knows more about percentages will know that percentages is out of 100, then there is a discount of 25, and then somebody in a hurry, if that person is not using the solving the question properly, will
pick up 65%. So this is also too obvious. And people who are better with mathematics, okay, they have this tendency to choose 32.5 also. They are like 100 minus 25, 75, 75, and on it, 10% discount and so on. And they pick 32.5 as the answer. Believe me, it's wrong. We will do this question again later on, okay? This question will get repeated in another lesson. So right now, the point is this, that if you do not know how to solve a question, or let's say, you got stuck on a question, you don't know how to solve it. So rather than making a random guess, make an educated guess by eliminating some of the obvious answer choices and then picking up from the remaining ones. Now you can see that you are left with 3 answer choices. If you pick out of 3, any answer choice out of these 3, okay, your probability of picking up the right answer is now 33.3%, which was only 20% previously if you would have, randomly picked from 5 answer choices. So your probability has increased for picking up the right answer. So this is the objective of this exercise, because in the initial stage, there will be more questions which you won't know rather than the ones which you will know, right? Okay, as we will move on with the course, there will be more questions you will know. Then you will have to use this process of elimination, okay, much less, right? So that is why we are learning this in the first step.
I'll send you some basic reading guidelines to help you improve your reading ability. Okay, so save time, as I said, on sentence correction so that you can work critical reasoning and reading comprehension. And there is a penalty for not finishing the section, and so ensure that pacing is something that you will keep in mind throughout your prep. Never ever give yourself more time than is really available when you're taking a drill of 3 or 4 questions. What you need to start thinking about is accuracy and not just finishing a question. So accuracy comes when you solve fewer questions. So learn to gauge how many questions can you fit in a given time. Time does not change. Time will remain fixed. You have to keep improving the number of questions you can get correct in that much time. And what you would want to do then is pay attention to how much time you need for sentence correction to get it right, how much time you need for a critical reasoning question to get it right. And based on that, get your pacing target. So more about that we will talk about in the reading lesson. Till then, just work on your content. We have 2 categories of errors. One, the ones which are very commonly tested. You will see them almost in every sentence correction question. And then there are those that are less commonly tested. So by focusing on the most commonly tested errors, you will at least be able to solve a big chunk of the sentence correction question. So these are verb tense, pronouns, idioms, misplaced modifiers, parallel construction, and subject-verb agreement. These are the big 6. In all, we will be doing around 10 to 12 errors. Now, you would also want to recognize what not to eliminate. So in order to know what not to eliminate, you should know the characteristics of a good answer. A good answer is going to fix any error that might be there in that sentence. So a good answer fixes the error. It makes no new error. It doesn't change the meaning of the sentence. And it is concise compared to the other answer choices. And our whole strategy is built on these characteristics of correct answers. And of course, yes, the concepts tested by the SB. So this is something you will not do, going by your ear. We hear a lot of English, and much of that English is incorrect. And because we've heard it ever so often, we feel it's correct. However, GMAC is going to present to you formal English, and that's something we don't hear too often. So if you go by your ear, chances are you might miss some, right? So keep these in mind. The correct answer will be fixing the error. It makes no new error, doesn't change the meaning of the sentence, and is concise compared to the other answer.